evidence related to A, B, or C, here's a study, parking study we did, or whatever. And if I'm sharing it with one trustee, everyone might be interested in this parking study that relates to the lake track, or whatever it might be. That's different than responding individually to a question about, hey, I had a follow-up question about A or B or C, and then you might just engage in that dialogue direct with staff members as opposed to sharing of physical information. Does that make sense?
Well, how do you define currently?
Well, I recall some open meeting and public record training that I had in the past, and I went to look at the document from the state. And I think there might be some confusion between sharing information and even question and answers, and and correct me if I'm wrong, the intent of what walking quorum is. And walking quorum that we need to avoid isn't the back and forth sharing of information. It's trying to get to some decision and trying to influence our action. Matter of fact, the guidance from the state says when there's no such express or tacit agreement, exchanges among separate groups. Excuse me. Walking quorum requires the element of agreement among members of a body to act uniformly in sufficient numbers to reach a quorum.
Right.
So sharing information, even if it's shared across, doesn't necessarily constitute a walking quorum. But I think I like the way you've done, don't reply all, and we've got to continually remind ourselves of that. But I don't.
Well, that's 100% correct in that, but what you want to avoid is having to spend 2 years and $100,000 of litigation for a judge to rule. And so there, it's a slippery thing, and somebody could say, well, look, what's going on here is something going on below the surface here in this communication, and there's a tacit agreement, even though it wasn't expressed, but there was an implied, based upon the discussion that's going on in the back and forth, someone could argue that, there was really deliberations that we didn't see, and that's what we're trying to, that's what we're trying to avoid. That someone could say, well, some back and forth deal, a long email chain that turned into 6 or 7 or 8, and there's a back and forth on it. Where's the line? So, right. Yeah. That's.
Can I ask a question for clarity? So when we went to training at the Lee last year, and we had a big session on this, and the head attorney was talking, and it was more of, and this is just what he told us, so I'd love to hear Nathan your input, but it was more of, don't talk about things that are currently on the agenda. Like, it's very hard to distinguish what's going to be a future action. So, if I ask about parking today, right? Because I know at some point we might be discussing a future parking policy, but if we don't have one in front of us, and it hasn't been an active discussion in a long time, months. So, if I ask a parking question, I just want to be clear on what does current and future, like, is it, or we can just leave that out and just say any communications. When you're talking among the board, I don't want to be.
Well, there's one thing. They said that courts have finally come around to a lot of these old judges are Luddites, and they don't even use email. So they finally come around, and there's a lot of cases that say if the board is attempting to reach a consensus on something that is procedural or or it relates to something benign like scheduling or trying to figure out structurally how are we going to conduct these in public meetings and that kind of thing. That's fine. It doesn't have anything to do with policy, but where exactly the line is a little bit difficult to define, because if you have a global discussion on an email, hey, parking, and then 3 months later, oh gee, it turns out magically that now that's an agenda item and something gets passed consistent with what the discussion was, well.
And there was no
problem,
process, right? There was no process. So is it just safe to say any?
When you say current or future, that's in item 3, which is village employee emails, village board officials.
You could get rid of current or future, you could just say a board issue.
Yeah,
or a building issue.
involving board issues.
Yeah, that's fine.
Just even with that, be safer.
Yeah.
Trustee McCabe.
I think it's also possible to formulate a question without stating your position,
Yeah.
the concern from which it derives. So then it is clearly a request for information and not a request for information couched within your position and your concern and why you're asking it.
I really want to do this, can you give me the information that will?
But I think you can still direct that question, yes, I can still do that to Rebecca. So as long as and then you wouldn't want to CC all the people with the information, but I think it helps sometimes for you to have context of why you're asking the question. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I totally agree with Trustee McKay, that if you're just, you can catch a question with, I just want this, and then you can send it back to the whole board, and that happens a lot, that can be a good practice. But there is sometimes that I feel like you're gonna wanna know why, to help us maybe get the right document, or.
This is true because I am not a mind reader.
So.
No, and I say that like in jest, but, like there is value. Email's great, but there's a lot of merit in picking up a phone.
Well, that's the other thing. There's some things that.
Well, no, I mean, and I say that we're all difficult people to kind of get a hold of it sometimes, but like the value of just having a conversation. And I think I said this to you today. I was like, oh, thank you for calling because this helps me process through it in a different way that I otherwise would have received in an email.
If we have to do an email, all I'm saying is, because there are times I'm sitting with my son, and I'm not gonna pick up the phone and make a call, but I can, chat with an email. So, but if we did have to make an email, sometimes it's valuable to have it, that's all I'm saying.
You want a little bit of flexibility, because if, let's say use a hypothetical, we're talking about Lake Drive, and it turns out that you might remember, a year and a half ago, there was a study done, a traffic study that might impact one of the subsections of the agreement that we were talking about. And you think, hey, that's a very thing, as village manager independently, yeah, I'm glad you asked me about that, because I think all of the trustees collectively might be interested in something like that. You can just attach here to find a copy of X and send it to them. So there's certainly that interaction that goes on that's perfectly reasonable, and perfectly allowed under the, under the law.
One thing that's somewhat frustrating is when you, on Monday in the afternoon, you go in and there's like, I might look at my email 4 when I get home, and then there's like 3 emails with these documents attached, and I haven't had a chance to read them.
Before a meeting.
Just before a meeting, I mean, because, we work all week, and then the weekend comes, we got things going on Saturday, so it might be Sunday evening you're reading this.
That's why I include the 24 hours.
Well, and I have a question about that too. I did ask Rebecca prior. What's the intent of that clause? Because here's what happens, I'm just gonna say from my personal life, unless you send the packet out Thursday. So if it was Monday, I get it, but Thursday, so I work Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you're catching up on things. So I do read the packet on Sunday sometimes. That's just the way that it happens, because, that's why we have the weekend to do it. So I understand the intent is if you expect a response, make sure it's in my mailbox, when I get in at 8 a.m. But 24 hours would mean that if I'm reading it and I have a question, does it matter if I send it at 10 at night on Sunday, or as long as it's there when you walk in? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the intent? Because 24 hours is hard for me.
It's a goal. I mean, because even if you send it, let's say you send an email at noon on Monday, we may very well still be able, chances are we'd still be able to respond, but I think that's just a mutual statement and a mutual goal for both staff and the board.
Could we state it that it is, it's a hard number. I trust all of us around the table making this policy right now, that that's the intent. I'd like to be clear, just because if you get someone if you get a village manager, this is a policy that lasts beyond you. So anyways, I just want to be clear that the intent is, if you expect a response, you need to have it to us before Monday morning. You know what I mean? Like, we need to be able to respond, to have some time to respond to you.
Yeah.
I think we just say should instead of shall.
That would even work for me, thank you.
Because the meeting question might not be Monday. might be some other meeting, so I think saying should be sent at least 24 hours. It gives,
Should.
Should.
Because if it's like,
Spoken like a contract person.
yeah.
rather than,
Well, I can just follow up on Mike's comment, you know, we, like, as staff, you have the same, I sympathize with your role, just in the same vein, you know, and I'll use today as an example. You know, I got in today, before I even sat down and looked at email, Tyler and I engaged in a conversation for about 20 minutes. Nathan came in, right? We had to deal with an issue. Another issue came up as a live that, and then the meeting was interrupted. Bart came in, you know?
But you realize maybe.
So then I didn't, like, if you'll notice my responses and just how I got through like today, it was like later in the day and I'm like funneling through it. I'm trying to go like from top to beginning to make sure that I didn't miss anything that was, uncovered. So I want you guys to know that just like Mike's, response of, oh my gosh, I sat down at my computer and there was like, all of these things. We always come from a place of wanting to help. And sometimes the questions, even if placed 24 hours, may not allow for sufficient time based upon what it is. But we want to have good communication in terms of how we go about doing it.
and the other way we can get around this is by sending a text, because text isn't covered here, it's just an email, so I'm not worried.
So, but
Oh,
yeah, or a Facebook Messenger. So, but my question is though, I think it goes back to a larger discussion, just.
I'm sorry, Allison.
I think it goes back to a larger discussion, which we can get into at a different time, but the whole, because it's sent out on Thursday, we're setting ourselves up for this, our meeting's on a Monday night. So you know, if you know, okay, you just sent it on Thursday, you've got you're gonna have most of your trustees reading on the weekend, then I think Monday is just like trustee question day, is gonna be my guess. I mean, it's, as you're saying, it gets overwhelming, and if we want that to stop, the best probably way is to modify that schedule of information out. That would help me more.
Yeah, if we have the agenda Wednesday or Tuesday, then it would give us a lot more time to get our questions out on Thursday and Friday, rather than pushing everything onto Monday.
Anyways, that's just a suggestion, but yeah, I think the change of the words would be helpful.
President Johnson, are we going to go through this entire policy tonight?
Well, I was going to ask, where are we going, because it's 20 after 10, and we do have a closed session that we have to get into tonight.
The presentation.
I have one more question on this one, if you want to, just a note.
Okay.
Do you want me to proceed just with it? Okay, so my only other comment was, oh, that was it, never mind. Thank you.
I can just go through mine really quickly. On elected and appointed officials, that they don't have email accounts. Members of the Plan Commission, all these other, I believe their emails in relation to village business are public records. There's a reference later that, on how to archive, it's under public records law. Emails submitted to a personal email address are still identified to be a public record if the content of the email is village or public business. In the instance where village or lay business are transmitted through an official's personal email address, a copy should be forwarded to a village staff or official's email address so that it may be archived. So if the plan commissioner asks a question of Bart or you or Rebecca, they're asking from their personal email. I mean, when I use my personal email a lot, but I'm pretty good about CCing my trustee account. But the plan commissioners are not. Members of the CBA are not. They're public records, and
Is there a dummy account they can CC? Rather than CCing a staff member, so then you get all confused, is there like a dummy account of where you just say, just so it's archived, like when you respond to the public, like say a public asks a commissioner.
Where are you putting in you when you say dummy?
I'm saying, I'm going over there, it's one you guys.
Isn't this taken care of if the plan commissioner sends an email to Bart?
Staff.
It's going to Bart's,
Absolutely.
it's going to his,
They'll stay in
we're
our-
taking
Okay,
care
but
of it.
here's the thing.
It's our-
what if they send an email to another plan commissioner?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you an example, like the
That's a
CDA
different
chair
story.
communicates with our
And I'm
attorney.
saying let me just finish, let me just get to my question. So that is a public record, they don't have a village email, that is not archived anywhere, so I just throw that out there. Use of blind carbon copy, I think that should be addressed. I sometimes use it. maybe I should, I don't know.
But
Where are you?
what do you, like, we
That's-
should have a policy as far as how it should be used, a bicarb.
Is it okay? I don't know. I mean,
Well, that was a good point, I mean, place it,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm completely against blind copies. That's-
Yeah, I don't,
I would never use a blind copy,
I don't
even
use
in
them.
person.
okay, I just want to get through my issues that I'm working on. Okay, under distribution lists, I don't know why we don't distribute email addresses for plan commissioners, for members of the ped and bike, I mean, ped and bike safety made a proposal here, and a lot of people were like, what's ped and bike safety doing? There is no way to contact, I mean, for me, I would say if you're on a village committee or commission, your email can be up there for people to contact you. That's my feeling about it. Confidential emails on that paragraph, I think we need to be very specific about what those exemptions to open records are, okay? Because I don't think people know what they are, and they are, I can't rattle them off right now, but they're very few and they're very specific, and I think they should be in here.